Happy birthday, Raila Odinga. Some of us call him Wonakeo. Now, if you choose to refer to him with Rosemary's name, Akeo is Rosemary. Raila Odinga is visiting Mombasa County in what political analysts are seeing as efforts to counter William Ruto's New Year inroads in the coastal region. And after arriving yesterday, he held meeting today with ODM delegates from Mombasa, and I followed bit of that event. Welcome to the Bold Analysis. My name is Kevin Oduor. Without much ado, I want us to do a critical analysis on his speech, and so this is what was a glimpse of what he shared in Mombasa.
Wale jamaa wakiona yeye kule anasema jamaa anakuja kwetu karibu sasa yeye kama mmoja wetu. Hapana. Hajakuwa mmoja yao. Na waandishi wa habari waelewe hii vizuri. Gavana kwenda kwa mkutano ya rais ya kwamba amedefect amekwenda kwa upande ya Kenya kuisha. Ruhusa imetoka kwa party leader waweze kwenda kufanya naye kazi. Kwa hiyo hii maneno ikwisha kabisa siku ya leo. Usimame imara. Baba bado wako na unaona mimi. Sasa baba unaona mimi yuko na wasiwasi. Unaona mimi yuko na wasiwasi. Ati wanataka kupeleka baba Bondo. Baba anajua njia ya kwenda Bondo. Hahitaji wewe. Ruto mpeleka yeye Bondo. Akitaka kwenda Bondo ataenda peke yake. Lakini Wakenya wanasema baba aendelee, ama sivyo? Aendelee siendelee. Endelee. Nitaongea huko mbele. Asanteni sana.
If you will realize that Raila was in the coast alone. Even the ODM leadership portfolio, the deputy party leader, both of them, Paranya and Joho, were nowhere, not even the Secretary General. So I could understand, but perhaps it was he had planned to go to the coast to celebrate the birthday there. But as a politician, he could have planned those political engagements. And when you see him there alone, he was also not putting on the ODM colors. In fact, it was just white, which is synonymous with Mombasa. There's something that Raila is doing. And Raila seems to be interested in consolidating his ODM base. There were some three messages that I want us to grasp from that speech. Of course, I listened to the whole of it. Number one, there was this conversation about Sheikh Jumangao, where Sheikh Jumangao is in confrontation with Adan Duale. And because Adan Duale went to, according to allegation, is that he went to a mosque and started attacking Sheikh Jumangao, who has been a very staunch supporter and close to Raila Odinga, and is also a Muslim leader. So there is some emerging divide between Somali and that. I also understand that not even Junet Mohammed was with Raila in the coast. And these are people, this is the man who has been at the wheels during Raila Odinga campaign. There is a political message that Raila has shared there. And it is a message that I am not going to retire. I am not going to leave active politics. He was trying to respond to the reports that have now been emerging from a faction of Wiper leadership that it was time for Raila to say Kalonzo Tosha, steer clear of Azimio politics so that Kalonzo Musyoka will run the show. So what he is saying there, and remember the discussion was on whether he is supposed to go back to Bond or so. And that's what he was responding to, that he's not going to leave politics. I don't know what your take, by the way. I am one person that believed the discussion or the conversation of whether Raila should go home or not, I think it's still premature. Politics is his full-time work. So you're telling someone now to leave analysis, or you're telling someone to leave his job, until he fails. And of course, there is no age capping on what he should do, especially in his political career. So, even though I appreciate the fact that in the next general election he needs to leave it to someone else, but that doesn't mean that he needs to leave active politics. Now, there is another statement that he made there that was very powerful, that Azimio governors meeting William Samoei Ruto are meeting it within the premise of cooperation and coordination between national government and the county governments. And those two levels of government work together. Two Azimio governors, I think now three, that is Fernandez Baraza in Kakamega, we've seen now Abdulswamad in Mombasa, I also want to add in Kilifi, Mungaro, and Simbarati had met President Ruto, and the reports were ripe that maybe they have crossed over, and we saw a bit of Kenya Kwanza luminaries running with that narrative that Azimio is dead, or ODM is dead, because the governors are crossing over now working with Kenya Kwanza. The relationship of working with government is fine, because 15% of the national budget remains with President Ruto here in Nairobi, and 85%. So only 15% goes to the county. They are already well laid in law on revenue allocation, what every county gets. So even if you are to be friends with President Ruto, there is law on how you're going to get your share. And Raila is saying that he's been giving nods, or rather he is aware of Azimio governors that have been meeting William Samoei Ruto. And of course there is nothing wrong with that. Number 3 message was, we must strengthen our political parties. Strengthening political parties, and this is something that I think we had even proposed, that before we get to a conversation of Nani Tosha, we should actually strengthen the political parties. That's the only way to regroup, and really have the luxury of regrouping because of strong ODM structures. That's why even in his political career, spanning all the way from 2013, all the presidential ambitions, it has not been so difficult to consolidate a campaign team because of strong, or rather grassroots ODM, or ODM grassroots structures. So the grassroots structures have actually worked for him for better part, that is the engine, that has been the engine behind his presidential bid all through. I want to make 2 observations from Raila Odinga's message. I know we've been asking that the gentleman needs to leave. I see Uhuru Raila ties are still intact. These ties, many might have seen that they have been outlived by political events, but you cannot underestimate the fact that Raila's presidential bid in 2022 was kept alive by that relationship with President William Ruto, by President Uhuru Kenyatta. So, and during his interview, I think the New Year interview, he came out and actually defended Uhuru Kenyatta amidst all these discussions and attacks from different quarters. So, I can see that as much as he's trying now to strengthen, there seems to be a bid to make sure that they produce a presidential contest on 2027. And let's not lie, for us to have a stiff or a valuable or a quality presidential contest in 2027, Raila Odinga should still maintain his voting base. This is not to mean that he should be on the ballot, but maintaining that voting base so that even if it's going to be another moment Tosha, it can work. And I can tell you that the most difficult one will be a Raila moment Tosha, when Raila says someone Tosha, be it whoever it be. So this is something that we still look now. Kalonzo candidature, from this observation, can best be anchored on Azimio's strength. I don't know how you look at it, and so the discussion on what next is ripe. But I think that plan should be guided within the Azimio ranks. When these political parties are strong, they can best anchor his political ambition. He can chart own path by getting a political narrative. But in terms of the political party vehicle, I think Azimio stands the best option for him. Number one, because there are already well-laid party structures among the constituent Azimio parties. Whether it may not be Azimio in the next election or it might be another coalition in the next election, but I think it is quite right to have that ambition within the Azimio ranks, because with that, he is in a position to inherit what will be Raila Odinga's voting constituency. If I can look straight in your eye, I don't think Raila is willing to let his constituency as early as now. From what I've really gathered, I don't think he's going to do it now. It's going to happen, but he has to stay around with it, because again, if you give it out now, maybe itaenda. So let's wait and see how this will turn out on 2027.